From unbelievable fumbles to catches and plays we might never see again in the history of the NFL, here are 1 in a million NFL moments. Let's start our countdown with a moment that will blow you away. No puns intended. Ever wondered why, out of the over 19,000 cities in the US, only Chicago is referred to as the Windy City? Well, you have your answer right here. The strong winds made the Bears' Robbie Gould look worse than an amateur. The Bears weren't just denied the first point of the game, but when the 49ers had their own crack at a field goal, the wind wasn't as harsh on them. Just when you thought playing at home gives you an edge, there's always the wind to swing things the other way, both literally and figuratively. But if you think windy days have ruined games, wait till you see what the rain does. In a game that has since been dubbed as Monday Night Mud Bowl, the 2007 game between the Steelers and the Dolphins was a literal mud bath. The game had already been delayed by almost half an hour of rain, and by the time the players had come out to play, they were playing in more of a swamp than a field. Players were jogging in at least 3 inches of mud, and the yard lines were washed away. It was literal pandemonium, but out of this swamp fest came a sight that we may never see again in the NFL. In the third quarter, the Dolphins punted the ball only for it to land upright, almost as if it was being teed. At least there was a bit of excitement from this to make up for a boring, soggy game. With no points scored in the first 3 quarters, the game looked like it would be the first goalless NFL game in over 60 years. But the Steelers managed to steal a win with less than half a minute left in the game thanks to a Jeff Reed field goal. It was a miracle a goal was scored in that game. But this next moment is a miracle that would be told at the dinner table of every family in Kansas on Christmas. When you're very sure of a victory, you can afford to try some rather unconventional tactics. That's exactly what Kansas City Chiefs coach Andy Reid did to give the Chiefs fans a Christmas surprise in 2016. He sent his nose tackle player Dontari Poe to the signaling position, and this produced one of the craziest plays ever. Obviously, Poe is not a quarterback and doesn't have a wicked throwing arm, so he just made a jump pass, which found tight end Demetrius Harris to put the game well beyond the reach of the Broncos. While this touchdown looked like an alley-oop from basketball, this next player was definitely demonstrating how gymnastics can come in handy, even in the NFL. Before Chris Carson would hang his cleats for good due to injury, he was out here performing stunts like the field was some sort of movie set. Just take a look at this flip as he tried to hurdle over Panthers safety Eric Reid. I guess when you play for the Seahawks, you become one along the way. He stuck his landing and continued running before getting tackled. The only other time I've seen anything remotely close to this was by a Panther. No, not a Carolina Panther, a Black Panther with superpowers. The piece of showmanship and skill wasn't in vain though, as the Seahawks went on to win the game 30-27. Clearly, Chris Carson isn't the only person pulling off superhuman levels of acrobatics. Micah Hyde could definitely give him a run for his money. Late in the fourth quarter in a game between the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills, Micah Hyde was definitely not hiding his ability with this onside kick return. With that touchdown, the Dolphins were now trailing by 9 points, and with less than 2 minutes left on the clock, it was game over for them. A 360 spin move to catch the ball mid-air before making a break for a touchdown is something we may never see again in the NFL. The thing about making touchdowns is that you better take your chances in doing so, or else the other team will show you how it's done, just like in this next play. In a wild card playoff game between the Bengals and the Ravens in Cincinnati, hearts were broken as well as records. The game was tied well into the fourth quarter, and the Ravens looked like the team to make headway as the line of scrimmage was literally inches away from the touchdown line. But when Ravens quarterback Tyler Huntley fumbled the ball, Logan Wilson knocked it forward, only for Hubbard to catch it. 98 yards, and 10 seconds later, the Bengals took the lead. This was a moment that the hometown hero took great pride in, as he said this after the game: "To make the play and be the guy to come through is an amazing feeling." Hubbard's 98-yard return is the longest fumble return in NFL postseason history. No wonder he needed oxygen after that. Surely, Hubbard knows he wouldn't have done it without the help of his teammates. But when your teammates can't help you have to do things yourself, just like Marcus Mariota. An 18-point lead is something that doesn't seem like it can be overturned easily. But the Kansas Chiefs not only bottled the lead in the wildcard playoff game, they kinda made it easy for the Titans. In the third quarter, Marcus Mariota was a few yards away from the end zone as he looked for a teammate to pass to. When it deflected off Chiefs cornerback Darrelle Revis, Mariota caught it and said,
"Fine. I'll do it myself.
He made a run from the end zone to score a touchdown and was credited for both the touchdown and the assist. Talk about a double homicide. But just when things couldn't get any more embarrassing for the Chiefs, Mariota's play inspired a comeback for the Titans as the game ended in a 22-21 win for them. Players assisting themselves are so rare that the last time this happened was over 20 years ago in 1997, courtesy of Vikings quarterback Brad Johnson. While Mariota was scoring touchdowns solo, these two were using teamwork to defend them. The LA Chargers wanted to go into the second half with the lead, but two heroes from the Tennessee Titans team went all Optimus Prime on him.
Not today.
Justin Herbert's pass was received all right, just not by his teammate Mike Williams. Catching the ball mid-air, Roger McCreary knew he would land out of bounds. And it's a good thing Joshua Kalu was close by to receive it. With neither space nor time, the duo still produced a defensive display so good, you would think no offense is outwitting these two. Well, any offense that Stephen Diggs isn't a part of. It doesn't get any closer than this. In the 2018 NFL playoffs, the Saints looked like they would be advancing ahead of the Vikings, but Diggs left it to the last moment of the game to upset the Saints. Something tells me Diggs wouldn't be a safe man if for some reason he found himself in New Orleans. But hey, he can outrun the defenders and the clock, so he should be just fine. Anyway, Diggs may have gone past two defenders on his way to the touchdown, but can he get the better of three defenders like Eldman? To be successful in the NFL, you need both brain and brawn. But when you're outnumbered and it looks like you'll be outmuscled or outwitted, well, sometimes the universe will favor you if it wants to. The Falcons were winning the game, and it wasn't looking good for the Patriots. But when a legendary quarterback like Tom Brady sends a pass your way, he expects you to catch it. And this catch by Julius Eldman is nothing short of a miracle. The combined effort of Falcons safety Keanu Neal and cornerback Robert Alford wasn't enough to stop Patriots wide receiver Eldman from making the catch. It would prove very decisive, as the Patriots would score a touchdown to force overtime, in which they would clinch victory. Now that we're into the top 5, these moments are only going to get more spectacular. Heck, they'll have you convinced that they will be the first and last of their kind. When you're a rookie, you know you have to do anything to impress your coach for a starting spot. Back when Jonathan Baldwin was a rookie with the Chiefs, he made a catch so convincing, you could tell he meant business. Baldwin made a catch so incredible, you would think his life depended on it. Matt Castle's pass may have looked like it was falling short, but Baldwin said, "No problem," and reached behind the back of Broncos defender Dawkins to catch the ball. Even the smartest of veteran wide receivers haven't made catches like this. It was such a pity though when it didn't count because of a penalty call made. Anyway, we've seen catches made when outnumbered, catches made behind a defender. But what about a catch made not with the hands, but with the legs? That's right, this NFL player used his legs to receive a pass. I really wish I was making this up. Carolina Panthers quarterback Sam Darnold threw a pass that flew past the hands of Terrace Marshall, but not past his thighs. Knowing that he had the ball between his legs, he clasped them to make sure he didn't fumble it. It did look purely coincidental because I haven't seen wide receivers practicing how to receive the ball with their legs. Speaking of legs, the only time players use them is when they're running or kicking. And this player had gifted legs, with the Cleveland Browns on the edge of losing the game if they missed a field goal. You would think they would be the nervous ones, but Phil Dawson was 7 for 7 with field goals that season. So it was the Ravens who had more to worry about. With 3 seconds left, Dawson kicked the ball from 51 yards out. It hit the upright, went past the crossbar, but bounced back infield. It looked like there was no overtime and it was over for the Browns. Or was it? Having never seen anything like this, it took the referees a bit of time to review things, but they came to a decision. It was a field goal, and the game was still pretty much on. Incredible! Moving on, the shape of the ball makes it hard to predict which way it'll go or how it'll move. But Vic Ballard must have thought he was the ball with this next play. Back in 2012 when the Colts and the Titans faced off, Vic Ballard went overboard in overtime trying to get a touchdown and a victory for his team. It looked like the Titans would be able to stop him before he got to the end zone, but Ballard proved that he had some tricks up his sleeve. But what this next player did, you would never see it from a mile away. We sure did save the best for last because this moment right here isn't just one in a million. It's a moment that you and I may never see again in our lifetimes. Back in 2011, when Jerome Simpson was playing in his last season for the Cincinnati Bengals, he did the unthinkable. It was the week of Christmas Eve, and Bengals fans were in for an early Christmas present. As Simpson approached the end zone, Cardinals linebacker Darrell Washington stood in front of him. Simpson couldn't go around him as he was already at the edge of the field, and I doubt Darrell would have let him go past. So Simpson went right over him to score one of the most spectacular touchdowns in NFL history. There you have it, the best 1 in a million NFL moments. Let us know in the comments section which moment was your favorite, and then go ahead to check out these other amazing videos popping up on your screen right now.
Perfect.